activity still going on around this city with the fire going. So I'm going to take another look at it, see what's going on. Caution children playing slow. Oh, look at that. Alright, fire traffic only. So, I guess they don't want other people coming back here now. Fire traffic only. I'll take a little peek. Shouldn't hurt anything. Alright, they've gotten a lot more advanced. They even have a security check-in. So they've added like a few more tents. A weed wash station? Have like 15 tents up. That serve as like stations. Mobile shower trailer. Yeah. See if I can read that. Hypers. Gas prices tank even more. Oh, 18th, that's long ago. Well, I'm not gonna go in the no entry area. It's yeah, they got sheriffs just hanging out here now. There's like 3 sheriff's trucks. The U.S. Forest Service has its own police unit. Well, I kept quite a distance that time. Didn't really get to see much in depth. So Indians practice a great form of land management, and that was burning the forest down. What that did was took care of all the small underbrush, and the big trees tended to survive them big fires. Them little fires, even in a way. Particular trees, such as the oak, and there was another one. But it would take care of all these little needles. I was slipping trying to climb the hill, and I'm like, wow, it'd be nice to get rid of those needles. If there's only some way to get rid of those slippery needles. And I think the Indian land management was pretty good. Our settlers, early settlers, assumed that it was just naturally easy to get through these big trees with their wagons that's just how the forest grew, but it wasn't. It was Indian land management. If you didn't intentionally start fires, you get all kinds of little undergrowth, like these little bushes and stuff would be all over the place, and it'd be harder to navigate through the forest. There's ants in Washington that would pile these needles into large mounds, but that was probably needles from the smaller needled pine, like maybe this. These big long needles would need a bigger insect or animal to take care of it. Is this gold? It's orange. It's a weird rock. I think all these big piles of rocks, these piles of big rocks, are evidence of prospecting, of the gold rush. Just land surfing, turning over entire mounds of earth just to look for gold. They must have been sifting. It's sure signs of sifting through the big rocks and then throwing the big rocks and going for the smaller rocks. And it must have taken some large machines to go through all that. This tree grew after sifting here, so it kind of marks when it came through in a way. But there are just all kinds of these rock piles all over. Those early settlers really expended a lot of fuels and machinery and resources into looking for gold in Idaho here. I would say that they created mounds with the large rocks, with the bigger rocks, and then we have channels here in just all different directions throughout. Now, where the smaller grains of sand were deposited, I just don't understand how that worked. I could see the bigger rocks in the piles. It's all clear. This is a different looking helicopter. It's a little more pointy nose. Oh, I thought I was going straight across. They're really going out of their way to fly around the city to get to the airport, because they could go directly over the city to go north to get straight to the fire, but they're making a roundabout to get around the city. There's a very strong haze in the air, and it's definitely not the fog. I think it's dust. It doesn't seem to be from the forest fire, but the forest fire would be more likely to be it. Smells more like dust. So there was a sign that I passed that said, "Drive slow, dusty." Your speed definitely determines how much dust you kick up around here. I think the Pioneer Cemetery is that way. But there's some camping activity being conducted over this way. They got 4 bathrooms. And I had 3 guys run right by me. They're on a jog. Pretty young guys. So they're really spreading out the camping. They're already camped at the airport. And now you could see that I could use some paper. There's more going on. Yeah, I think I see tents. Alright, so I think it's pretty clear that they did the... what's that called again? It's the gold mining... prospecting... Well, just the gold mining work throughout here, coming up on the cemetery. And for some reason it says the cemetery is closed. I'll just take a guess that's closed for the car traffic. I don't know why it would be closed for walkers. But looks like somebody got a little creative with making a fort out of the rock piles. But yeah, clearly this is all tore up from machines. People looking for gold around here. I guess they were finding gold. Why else would they have just changed the landscape for miles? I've seen this type of appearance in Sumter, Oregon too, and I've recorded that one. Sumpter. I see. It's closed at night because the ghosts want to run around in peace. I got it. And looks like they tried to make it look a little more grand at one time, and then that fell apart. Yeah, there's digging. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, it's possible that this earth was turned over for gold prospecting too. I wouldn't put it past the settlers to have set forest fires on purpose, just to get the trees out of the way, and then they could dig. They wouldn't have to like knock down the trees, cut them down. Just go through, burn them, and then start your digging. I mean, that seems to make sense to me, but I don't know how they did it, you know, without actually reading the records or seeing the records or how they did it. Now, we may lump all these early settlers in the category of pioneers, but I mean, there's clearly different kinds of pioneers with different objectives. The more noble may appear to be the farmers who wanted to create more resources and make the best use of resources with the land they were given. Then there are other type of pioneers who are greedy and stop at nothing to get rich quick as easily as possible. Criminals who will kill one another for just the thought of a little profit. Don't see too many cemetery donation things. Sounds like a little change might be in there. A brochure. Looks like they're not getting enough donations. They're not refilling their brochures. So it's a very unmowed type of cemetery. Usually you see them really heavily manicured. That's probably why they're begging for money. I wonder who the dead person is who's buried with their gold here. I bet there's somebody, or maybe that person was already exhumed or dug up by grave robbers. Who knows? So you climb a fairly big hill to get to this grave site, this graveyard. Alright, here's a year, 1821 to 1901. That's the exact time. I mean, this person would have been 30 in 1850, which was roughly the time, 1850s was roughly the time that the gold was discovered and people quickly came into the area. Okay, little babies died. Unknown. There's a skeleton over there that's unknown. And if we're finding like bones from millions of years ago in the African deserts, you know, a lot of these bones have to be still in pretty good shape. Alright, if you wanted to dig these bones up, you would certainly find them. And wow, is this the least manicured graveyard I've ever seen in my life? Small town graveyard, but even with the small town graveyards I've seen, I've never seen people buried in such overgrowth. But I'll tell you what, I mean, this population went from 6,500 people to 450 now. We're talking about a decline. So as these people were dying, there weren't any real funds to cover the post-mortem services. All right, they were here quick. It was a fast money-making venture, and if you died out here, wow, you died. You were buried. Just kind of. They kind of found a plot in the woods. They didn't. I'm guessing that the woods didn't look like this when they were burying them. As you can see, there's no evidence of a of gold digging through here, so there might be a lot of gold. You know, there's why they chose particular areas to just dig up the earth all over the place is beyond me. I don't know how they figured that, but they didn't do that here. So this graveyard is a possible gold mine. What is this? Some kind of weird plant. How are they finding these? Look at that. See, all you got to do is, let this sign rot and fall to the ground, and now you have no idea where the person. This could have been thrown. All right, we have no idea where the person was actually buried. So, the lack of tombstones, and yeah, they got all these unknown signs, and it makes sense. I mean, 6,500 people, and then it just dwindles to 450. And this is a result of one of them fast towns that were developed by gold digging. and then how this person has their own gravestone is, they just 1981 he died. They just never planted, or she died. Okay, so it's a lady bones. They just in the old days they just kind of buried people wherever. Now you gotta wait on a waiting list, and they got the next 10-20 years probably plotted out and how they're gonna bury, where they're gonna bury people. But back in the old days it was a little more scattered, I'm guessing. Not sure where the boundaries are. It's not entirely clear. Just kind of in the woods, and I could be walking over bones right now, for all I know. How they identified the unknowns it'd be interesting to find out. How did you figure out where those unknowns were, so you could make the signs for them? Let me just say too that I have not found a tick. See, it's a partial burying here. So somebody could have been buried there too, right here. It's really hard to tell. Scattered all over. No particular system set up back then for burying people. I mean, people are dying in droves today, and we got more of a professional system for burying them. But back then it wasn't so professional. Little pit right here my foot sinks into. Somebody burnt some stuff. Whoops. Yeah, what the heck? This little area got burnt up. I don't know if that was planned or what. But yeah, it's just a big mess out in this graveyard. I'm guessing people just gave up a lot. Gave up their previous lives to come out here to gold dig. And no doubt a lot of these guys also got murdered with these unknowns. But if you murder somebody, do you take them to the graveyard? Maybe they got murdered. The murderers left the bodies and went about their own way, and the people who discovered the dead bodies had to take it upon themselves to bury them. What a chore, these murderers are never, they have no respect, all right? Because, somebody's got to deal with that dead body. So people who murder and then just leave the body, they need to be punished for leaving that carcass laying around. It's not, it's perfectly fine to criminalize that. Even people who run over animals on the road, they leave them behind, leave a deer behind, just laying on the road. Inconsiderate. That's how I would describe it. Inconsiderate. So we get further to the top of this hill. Alright, you have all these, maybe they'll have more of a system. There was more of a system walking in, because there's like people who died in the later 1900s. But these older ones, 1883, and look at that, this is a thin gravestone, and then they added this extra bit. They were using like marble. 1830, it only lived 38 years. That's possible murder. 49 years, maybe a murder. Wow, they are spread out. Yeah. Mary Penny, they actually know who this lady is. Hard to read. They got a big description for her. And then a huge, this is where the gold is buried. They buried this person with their gold. The bigger gravestones, you can pretty much take a better guess that they're more likely to have been buried with some of their gold. Born in Germany in 1828 and died here in 1901. William Stearman, and yeah, his wife. So I bet the news reached Germany that there's gold to prospect around here, and Germans in their German engineering brought their machine knowledge, no doubt, to tear up the land around here and show no regard to nature. I wonder if these are old growth trees. It seems likely that they're not. They're probably more second growth, just because people were building at rapid paces. You look at Raymond, Washington, and they built a city on the water that only lasted like 20 years because that wood rotted so fast. They went through a lot of wood. A lot of wood wasted because of poor planning. Yeah, but it's an experiment, right? They're learning mistakes. I cut a tree here, but people are buried here in the years, I can't even read. 1916 is when they died. 1902, and that tree is cut. Now, did that tree grow after 1902? Maybe they put a little tree. It looks like they probably planted a little tree. The family, the descendants may have planted a tree after the people were buried, possibly, and now it's cut down. You know, people will do that. They'll want to take pride in thinking that tree is taking on the properties of the dead. Yeah, this guy's died more recently. So, oh yeah, Vietnam. 1948, and died at Vietnam. He's got money put on his grave. 11 cents. This area is pretty large. So this gravestone, they didn't bother to put any, it's pretty sturdy. Christian Wilkie, 61 years. Oh, okay, a Bible passage. I got a nice big gravestone. Those unknowns are amazing. I have found where they're buried. They buried them at the bottom of the hill, scattered throughout. 1828 to 1882, 1818 to 1897. Why there's these wood things surrounding? Very rickety. And it's quite this is takes some woodworking skill to put together. Very creative. I wonder how they just kind of stay on they won't move up and down. It's like they're guarding the gravestones to make sure no one robbers steal the graves. Here, there's no stone, but there's a fence around it that's almost falling apart. completely. You know, there's probably a dead body there. You know, I've never really seen these type of fences around grave sites before for just a body. Died 1890, 58 years. Now, why they would do that? Is it custom at the time? It's strange. There's several of these. They got even a gate. It's like a fenced-in dog yard or something. It's like they're keeping the animals inside. You could put a pet in here, and they couldn't escape. That's a pretty sturdy fence. Maybe, nah, they wouldn't have done that. What is the purpose of that? They wouldn't have put animals inside those gates to poop all over the grave. Here's more evidence of a fence that's just fallen apart. Wood lasts longer here. As you can see in the city, there's the wood sidewalks, and they're still around. And it's so dry around here. 1829 to 1908. That could be seen. Just one guy, Peter Donahue, whoever he is. Looks like this gravestone might have fallen. But they got these big old fences. I mean, these fences aren't cheap. That's the least they could invest in as part of the burial charges. I guess they'd rather invest in fences than a bigger gravestone for the deceased. Sacred to the memory of Bridget Gorman, and she died at 30. She only lived 35 years. Maybe died in 1878. 35 years. Sounds like an accident or a murder. One person in here, and this is I don't even know how you open this. Maybe no. This would be where the hinge is, and then this, you do something with this handle. I don't know what. It looks like it's got to move. I don't even know how you'd open that. That is a weird design. It seems like it's supposed to bend. Strange. Maybe this is different for Elizabeth Harry. It looks a little different. It looks like it's... Okay, it locks there. So you can see it locks. It's actually locked, then you gotta reach around, push down, and you're in. What an ornate design. 10 years. So this is a little kid, maybe. I'll make large gravestones for kids. They got this big old fence again. Amazing. And you look down below for all the unknowns. And then this is actually fenced in. I didn't really recall passing a fence. But it's easy to get through anyway. What is that? For sale? They were selling this plot. Interesting. Selling the graveyard. Because they're working on donations. They can't keep it up anymore. And it was not mined for gold. So that's something to say. It's amazing how we know nothing about a lot of these people in the grave sites. But in today's world, we know so much about everybody else these days. It's just a huge difference in awareness of each other. And is that really an improvement in our lives, that we know so many intimate details about individuals? Went further up the hill from the graveyard, and there are these weird structures, confined space. It looks like they're vents. Was this a garbage pile for a while or something? This is a vent. So it's something buried in this ground here. It doesn't look like it was mined for gold. There are huge areas that have not been touched by that gold digging machine. So I guess you could say there is a possibility to find gold if you wanted to start digging somewhere. I did find a shovel. It looks to me like this is evidence of a forest fire, and this is maybe a mile away from Idaho City. Yeah, that looks burnt. I heard a really loud sound. Something slipped. I was coming to investigate this black stump. Okay, there's a bit of a trail here, and it's most likely for deer. You see, yeah, it's obvious that this area got burnt up because there's a lot of space in between trees. Forest fires will kill all that underbrush, take it out, so it's, you can see for long, nice distances. That is beautiful. It's beautiful what forest fires do. Yeah, it's tragic, but at the time, but the aftermath is quite lovely. You don't have to deal with all that undergrowth. I just ask, what really drove the people to just sift through the maybe 5 feet of earth over many miles, just digging up 5 feet of earth and sifting through it? People must have been just walking around and seeing gold on the ground, right on top of the ground, and figure, maybe if I'll bury a few feet down in, I'll find more. And it sounds like they did, all over the place. And there's still a lot of places untouched. Does gold really normally do that? The first 5 feet? Grow in the first 5 feet? It probably is deeper than that. You could probably dig deeper and find more gold. You could probably really tear up this area and get more gold, but is it profitable enough? Who knows? Probably not. I bet there's certain types of rocks that are more prevalent where gold is to be found than others. The climate, the environment can all lend to creations of particular rocks that support or indicate or whatever gold production. If this is the type of environment, landscape that can contribute to gold, then it's definitely unique with everything. I'm guessing that the forest fires that occurred around Idaho City here have reached, the flames have reached 6 feet high, as tall as any man, and even taller, just by the evidence of the black marks on the tree. These trees have some good fire retardant bark, I'm guessing. They won't go up in flames too easily. By this can that was laying on the ground, it says rusted out except for the aluminum. And it even says aluminum right there. Aluminum number 8. So maybe this is tin. But yeah, either way, this metal rusts, and this aluminum looks as new as the day it was made. Coming back through the graveyard from up top that hill, I see this fence, and I was thinking maybe I could enter, but look at this. What's their deal? Before, people could go in and out as they pleased, but now they had to put barbed wire in place. I don't get it. Well, if you ever want to be buried in a scattered location, around Idaho City is it. If you ever wanted a fence around your burial plot with a nice little gate, HD, what is it, Harley Davidson? And his plate says no. He died in '02, so that's fairly recent. Gates. Trying to keep up with the Idaho City custom, putting fencing and gates around your burial plots, and just kind of buried in like a wide area. These people might, well, I don't know, how much does it cost really? How much does it cost to make something like this? There's no upkeep. This is the grave. There's not even a stone. It's just a gate here that's well rusted. You just kind of let yourself in. It's like it's her spot. It's not too far from the city workers stuff. Okay, now I understand why the road is so nicely graded. I'm so slow. A grader, they normally park at the city workers area over there. Weird grader just drove by me, so I'm thinking this road gets a little extra attention from that grader.